Township Zoning Board of Appeals is now called to order. Would you all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm going to do roll call for the, would everybody please say here when I call your name? Mark Jakubiak.
Here.
Chad Impellizzeri.
Here.
Dave Nussdorfer.
Here.
Laura Anderson, that's me, here. And Marcia Peterson. Oh, Kristen Graves.
Here.
Okay. The second thing on our agenda is approval of the agenda. I redid the agenda. It should have been on your desk when you came in. So it replaces the one that was in the packets earlier. Does anybody have any changes or corrections to the agenda?
And can I just make a comment that your revised agenda is what's on the back table there?
Right, so you all have the correct copy. All right, if there are no changes, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd so move. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 3 is approval of the minutes from the April 20th, 2022 meeting. I have a correction to item number 6. It should be approval of the January 19th, 2022 ZBA meeting minutes. Does anyone else have corrections?
Nope.
All right, then, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
So move. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved 5-0. Agenda item number 4 is conflict of interest. Does anyone on the board here have a conflict of interest with this hearing that we are going to be doing this evening? No? Okay. And we will move on to hearing of case number ZBA 2022-01, the Loy front yard variance request on parcel number 051457500800. Just as a reminder, I will go over the procedures for the hearing prior to beginning. The public hearing for the case before us tonight will proceed as follows. First, the zoning administrator, Sarah Capriva, will present the official records of the case. Then we will read any communications received regarding the case. After that, the applicant will present his case, which will be followed by public comment. First by interested persons in support, then by interested persons in opposition. Rebuttals will be heard in the same order. At that point, I will close the public hearing and the board will go into closed session. After the board completes its deliberations, I will reopen the meeting and the board will render its decisions. I would also like to remind everyone that during the conduct of a hearing, all comments should be directed through the chairman. All right. I now open the public hearing of ZBA 2022-01 for a zoning variance for Mr. Loy. Sarah, can you fill us in?
So
turn on my microphone here. So we received an application for a front yard setback variance. As I mentioned in my staff report, because this is a waterfront property, the front, which is traditionally on the road, goes to be your water side setback, and then your rear becomes your roadside setback. So they flop in that. So when we're talking about water side and front, it's all one and the same. But I just wanted to clarify that. So we have a 50-foot water side or front yard setback that this variance request is being made from. And in your packet, you've got an application that the applicant laid out for you, as well as a site plan in the packet and building plans for what they're looking to build. They can give you a little bit more information on that. In my staff report, I would just like to kind of go over a couple of the items that are in it. It's not very long, but I did put in there the schedule of regulations, so you know what all the setbacks are. And then the background information at the bottom of the first page talks about what's required for the district and then what this lot has, or what's existing or what's proposed for this property in this application. So you will notice that the minimum lot size, this lot does not meet the minimum lot size, which is fine. It's a non-conforming lot as far as the size of it. And the lot width, there's a very limited location where the lot has frontage on that road easement. So it's both non-conforming in size and in width. The zoning ordinance allows for development of a non-conforming lot with no problem, as long as you meet the setbacks and the requirements for the district. So just because this lot is too small or not wide enough isn't forcing that to come here, because you can build on that lot as long as you meet the setbacks. It's the setback requirement that's causing it to be here. So also listed on here, I put down each of the setbacks and then what they're proposing for the setbacks or the distance from each of the property lines. So you'll see the water side setback, they're proposing to be 37 feet when we require 50. And then you've got your side yard. We have a 10-foot side yard setback. They're proposed to have a 17 and a 26-foot side yard setback. And then the road setback is 35. And it's proposed to be the structure at 50 feet from the road easement. Minimum dwelling size, this is something that's in our zoning ordinance, so we require any dwellings to have a living area of at least 960 square feet. In here, you can see the proposed is a little over 2,600 square feet based on the floor plan or the plans they provided to the township. And then minimum dwelling dimensions, we require all structures to have at least a 20-foot minimum width or dimensions. I guess I like to say that you have to take like a 20-foot by 20-foot box and be able to put that within the footprint of the house to be able to show that you have that dwelling area, that minimum width. And the plans I had, it was a little difficult to see just from scanning it in. But it goes from about 24 feet in the one dimension to around 50 feet in the other dimension. So you can see that does meet the minimum dwelling dimensions as well. So those are probably a couple of the items I would imagine the ZBA would be talking about if it's reason, if you can meet those standards without the variance, or if something lesser would make it so you can meet the ordinance. Something I do want to mention too, I don't know that I don't recall if I put it in my staff report or not. There may be some talk about the township cemetery across the street and septic and where that's located. That's outside of the purview of the ZBA. So, I mean, you can ask questions if you need to clarify, but try to focus on the variance at hand with the water side setback. You can't give permission for the cemetery. That's something the board has to do. And there's other avenues. So, just to kind of bring that up, because I'm assuming that's going to be a part of the discussion just because it was a part of my discussion with the applicant. I just want to make that clear for the ZBA. And then included in your packet also is a worksheet. I think, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, at your last meeting, you might have talked a little bit about having this worksheet.
Right.
Okay, so hopefully this helps the ZBA kind of walk through what we're looking to accomplish, some general findings of fact, and then it gives you some space there related to each of the standards that you can walk through when you're making your decision. You're all familiar with, the standards and how we have to find that all of the standards are met in order to grant the variance. There needs to be kind of justification for each of those standards along the way. We did publish this legal in the newspaper, in the Elk Rapids newspaper, and sent out the 300-foot mailings for it. So that's all handled and it's been posted, the public hearing and the agenda. So, and I have not received any written communications.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yes.
So then we will move on to the applicant's presentation. Mr. Loy?
Do I do it?
You're going to want to stand up there. Let me check to make sure that microphone's on. You're going to want to make sure you speak into this because we broadcast on YouTube, so everybody can hear you. You may yell at it, get closer.
I got some visuals.
Do you need his visuals to be in a certain spot so you can catch the
They're
microphone?
fine.
Okay. And you're doing your presentation to the zoning board of appeals, so you may want to, adjust.
Welcome. You all probably wondering why I invited you here. My name's Glenn Loy. I frequently go by my nickname Rick. And I believe I'm making a reasonable request to build a reasonable house on a unique and challenging parcel. Is this okay? A little closer, please. Okay. Test.
You can hold it if you want to, if that's easier, so you can move around. You can pull it right out of there and hold on to it.
So, as she said, this is a non-conforming parcel. It was created in 1928. It was subdivided by a great uncle of mine, Wendell Evans. And what I'm not really trying to build in McMansion is just a small home that'll be my primary residence. It's just a 3-bedroom house. So I plan on it to be my last residence. This variance is being sought due to the unique circumstances of the lot. And the reason why the zoning board of appeals is here, they're to solve the issues created by the ordinance. I think I got 3 conditions that are specific to this parcel that will qualify for the variant. You got the shape of the lot, the shallowness of the lot, and the topographical issues or the steepness of the lot. It's basically lot 16, plat of Evans Resort. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the property? Everybody made it down the hill and up the hill? It's across from the cemetery. Lot 16, it's the last one. This has been in the family for 100 years now. My parents recently passed away, and it's still in the state, and hopefully we can. That's why we're here. So we hopefully we can build a house there. An aerial picture this is Evans Resort right here. There's a couple beyond Evans Resort. Bill's house is right here. Then I call it the Woods residence because they're the people that build it. They're down at the end. So all these are. You notice they're all generally built with a 35 to 40 foot setback already. So historically, everything is there. So on the lot, the first issue is it's a triangle. You've all seen that in your packet. It's basically a triangle, and what that does is a lot of the lot have the 50-foot setback marked here on the survey. a lot of the land mass is below that, and everything gets squeezed at the top. You'll see where this becomes a problem is in the placement of the house. The other problem is the shallowness of the lot. This lot is only 112 feet deep. So if you take up 50 foot from the front yard setback, 35 from the rear setback, that's 85 feet, leaves 27 foot building footprint. You do pick up a couple feet because there's a few feet beyond the property line to the high level of the porchway. So the shape causes everything to get squeezed in here at the top, so it creates a small footprint. The other problem you have is the steepness of the hill. As you go down that hill, that grade is from 16 to 20 degrees grade. They recommend a 12-foot grade, but they can't do anything. I'll have an easement across this driveway and neighboring on lot 14 and 15 coming down to the hill. So as you come down to the hill, if you push that house into the parking lot, then you run into the house. Like I say, that creates a hazard there. Also with parking, as you park up here, you can't turn around and go back up the hill. Backing up the hill is probably not recommended. You've all been down there. That would be quite a challenge backing out onto the road. Don't really have much other options for driveway because I only really have 23 foot on the road here. So, it's practical to go straight up and you launch yourself out on Northeast Torch Lake Drive. So I think we will be getting an easement to use this driveway, existing driveway, down the hill for the parking and so forth. Now, talking to Sarah, there is actually, was Jackie suggested that, well, if you notice there's 26 feet between here and the setback, she says, well, you can just move your house up and down and to the 50-foot setback. So I says, okay, let's see what that looks like. So what I did is I made some setbacks. So I figured if I could demonstrate this. So we have a 10-foot setback here. Another 10-foot setback there. Put it on one line. And so it kind of show you, it's got to fit somewhere in there. And so now let's take the house. And so if we take the house, move it to the 50-foot setback, we got to slide it down here to get everything in. 50-foot setback. Of course, what it does is it takes that house 13 foot into the driveway. So now as you're coming down a steep driveway, boom, you hit the corner. So that's the big problem I have, is basically coming down the steep driveway. You guys all drove down there, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
So unless some people park up on the road and walk down. So as you come down here, you just right into the house, and it's so that's what that was one suggestion.
Yeah, let me see this, please.
What I did do is I tested this, and I put some cones in the driveway and did some trial drives down, and I kept hitting the cone.
Thank you.
So the next thing, she says, well, you can go with a smaller house. So let's take a look at my house plan. She said basically, you have to have a 20 by,
You can stand on the microphone, please.
so basically, in the house plan, you have to have a 20 by 20 area. So we got that one, this one from here to here is 21 foot. Now it does extend another 3 foot here, but it also has stairways going down here that proceed into the building a little bit. So if you have a house, because this is gonna be built on a crawl space, I'm gonna have to have steps to get from the house to the ground floor. So that's gonna take 4 to 6 feet for stairway. So the other thing is eaves in a house. Is it probably a good idea to have some sort of eaves in the house? And so that's gonna add about 2 foot on either side to get minimum what footprint can we build on the house. So what I did, kind of looks like a mobile home trailer, because you can't have anything protruding. So if I take the minimum requirements, so we got 900, so you got a 20 by 20 area, 2 foot on one side, 4 foot on the other side for stairways and eaves. So you'll have a footprint of about 26 by 50 to get to everything required by the ordinance. So we put that into my chart. And it's still, like I say, it still juts into the driveway. Now, also, we're gonna have to have somewhere, you build a house, you're gonna have septic tanks, because we're gonna use a pump up system. And that's gonna, so somewhere I have to still come up with about a 20 spot to put 2 septic tanks for the pump up system. So that's kind of my dilemma. Everything is trying to put, I'd say, 5 pounds or 10 pounds of flour in a 5 pound sack in one small area. So by getting the easement of 13 foot, it kind of alleviates a lot of the building problems, a lot of the parking problems, and there's more room for septic and house. So,
Can I see that, please?
yes. So it still would jut into the parking lot. 26, about 6-7 feet. Still causes the issue trying to turn around in the driveway.
Can I see it, please?
I felt like a little nail cutter, cut all these out.
Thank you.
Does this show where the garage is? Do you have a bigger,
Bigger
picture of this?
I would love to have a garage.
well, you don't have a garage?
I don't have a
Oh,
garage.
that's why I couldn't find it. Okay,
If I get the setback, I could actually move it down a little bit and squeeze maybe a car garage in. That would be awesome. But it's like they say, that's,
okay.
so yes, garage would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I just couldn't see it on this little print, but my eyes are a little, I thought maybe we had a bigger print, but no garage, okay.
Oh. So this will, giving the setback, I don't think will bother any of the neighbors. Bill's, one neighbor to the south, and he'd be the closest one. I think because they all enjoy the same beautiful views of Torch Lake from their setbacks. And I think the request the setback conforms to the established historical building patterns of Evans Resort, since a lot of them were built, had houses built prior to zoning, or they had took homes and used the setback that was there to create, larger homes. The neighbors to the north has converted some of their small homes into much larger homes. But I assume I don't know what, they obviously got approval somewhere. But anyhow, so this variance is needed to overcome the practical difficulties that a full compliance the setback would impose. And I think this is a unique property in the township. I don't know of another lot that would be a triangle steepness, coming, steep hill and shallowness of lot. So there's some smaller lots out there, but I don't think there's anything that has the trifecta of the shape, shallowness, and the steep slope. So obviously it goes from the road down to the parking lot is about 16 feet, then it drops down a few more feet for there's a plateau, and it drops down to the lake. There's about a 10-foot drop off. It goes to the lake. So it's on a plateau above the lake. So it doesn't do anything with the wetlands. So now, what questions may you have?
I have a question. Do you know what the actual buildable area is on the lot with given the setbacks and the size of the lot?
I could do the minimum, like the 50 by 26 would fit there. It does make parking almost impossible. I still have the issue of coming down the hill in the winter, running into the house. That's
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood, because I didn't this is not, actually, it's,
no,
not exactly to scale, so
right.
it's hard to calculate. I was calculating that you actually probably have a rectangular building area of about 30 by 50 feet.
30 by 50 feet.
Yes,
If 30 feet would.
that falls within the setbacks.
30 foot would push it into the road setback.
Okay, that's why I was asking you to confirm, because based on the information I have here, I calculated roughly 30 feet.
Then I did that calculation based on, I had Farrier survey it. He drew up me this nice map. That's so based on, he didn't really give me the keys.
There's not a road setback indicated on this, that's why.
No, there's not, but there still would be one for the first 23 feet. Because that part is on the road, so there is a setback and go into the driveway.
Right.
I would guess 30 foot would be probably, I don't know if I get quite 30, but probably 26 to 28, somewhere in there.
Okay. Like I said, this isn't to scale
Right.
exactly, so I was just trying to,
Sure.
estimate, and I came up with 29 to 30 feet estimating, but
Well,
I guess
like
we
said,
can't really answer that if we don't have
Yeah, and I don't have
a surveyed marking on it. Okay, thank you.
Do I ask you or do I ask him or what?
Ask
You
me.
can go ahead and
Okay.
direct your question.
When I was reading this, I was thinking you only had a 13-foot frontage here, but now I get my specs out and I see the other 10 feet.
Lot 16 has 10 foot on the road. Years ago, there used to be a 13-foot public easement that went through the property at lot 15. That was vacated and moved to lot 16. So that's why I got 13 feet plus 10 feet. So there's 23 feet on the road.
This would almost be considered to be a landlocked piece of property, wouldn't
It has road frontage.
it? There's no minimum you need for road frontage.
There is a minimum. It's non-conforming. He's got 10 feet and 13 feet, so 23 feet.
Straight downhill.
Yes.
That doesn't, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he does have, we just say road frontage,
Okay.
access to an easement.
I have access to an easement.
Okay, that easement that was one of my questions. So you can get an easement on that.
I am the executor of the estate.
Well, I
Yeah,
got
so this was my parents' property. The understanding, hopefully, the plan is, there's a cabin on 14. My brother is gonna take over the cabin. I will get the building lot, build a house, and he will give me an easement to the existing driveway.
on 14.
There's 14, there's an existing cabin right now.
Okay.
Okay, who owns the rest of 15 then?
It's all part of the Maryland Loy estate.
Okay. So that goes along with lot 14 in terms of?
14 and 15 will be one parcel,
And then,
and then
then that
16
13 feet of 15 plus 16. are
Right, they're two different tax numbers. My dad, when this came about, he knew at some point, one of the kids to work out the estate would want to build on that house, so he always kept them a separate tax parcel, not combined, so it could be done.
So right now, nobody's living in 15.
15, no, not right now.
Another question I have, that is very steep from the road. And by removing trees, or by disturbing much of that land, is it going to be any kind of and I'm just asking this as a general question. Maybe the road commission has to, with a heavy rain, after disturbing, you're going to take a lot of the foundation away, and if that would slide.
Not in the driveway steep hill portion. There's that driveway and parking area is pretty well pushed to the lot line right now. I can only gain a couple feet up here because this is pushed into the hill quite steeply, this area right here. And so, the parking, the driveway will not be disturbed. And,
No, but your parking area,
well, the parking area, I can't expand it too much.
right now, there's a lot
Because
of trees on that property. When does it start going? It's hard to tell from this little thing here.
So when you were down here, if you look,
I'm concerned about the bank, is what my
The
question.
bank, on the roadside
From
of
the
the bank?
roadside coming down.
I
If
think
you're getting too close to the road, that it might be a problem.
I think that what you're thinking about, the road goes up here, and there's another reverse triangle that goes here. It is not, because of its bank.
Oh, I got you.
This is the north-south line at the end of the thing. And Bill, right there, he owns the flip side of this. He has all the road frontage.
Oh,
I only have 23 foot. There is a few trees.
yeah, that's a little bit better. Thank you.
There is a few trees here that will probably take it down there's going to be very few trees that are going to be disturbed.
Yeah, all right. I see now where that triangle comes in there.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems I'm going to have is when I build, if I build, the water comes down that hill,
Yeah,
then it's going to go right into the house, and I'm going to have some sort of drainage in front of the house. So even though you get the minimum setbacks, I still got to lose even more of the parking lot and have some sort of drainage to push that water around the house so it doesn't flood.
that would be a big concern, yes.
And so, that's my biggest concern is the turning around in the parking.
You can turn a car around in there?
You can now. You were able to turn around.
Well, yeah, but I'm not driving an ambulance or a fire truck or a cement truck or
I
a
don't
logging truck.
I don't think you could turn around a fire truck
Yeah.
down there.
It was hard enough just turn And I was the only car in that area when I,
And it was hard for you to turn around.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
so I'm just saying, man, you're really tight right there.
I am. And that's my biggest, that's why I'm asking for the variance. So you not lose much of that parking lot. Because I'm probably gonna, even with the requested setback, I'm still gonna lose 1 or 2 feet off right in front of the house because of having to get drainage.
Okay?
But you're right, turning around. I tested it with a house there and like I say, I don't know how that's gonna work, how that would work.
You know, I hate to back out of that driveway.
Uh,
But the traffic goes around the corner there, coming from the north.
It's a challenge now pulling out frontwards. You have to look in your mirror
Yeah.
and make sure. Fortunately, that is not that busy of a road, but yes, backing up is not an option,
Or backing down.
or backing down. I have backed down, but it's challenging because it's a very narrow driveway.
Is that an issue that with accessibility for medical or fire access?
We don't have anything in our ordinance that requires a driveway to be of a certain slope or a certain width. It would just be proceed at your own risk. And I guess, if the fire truck can't get down there, an ambulance can't get down there, that's,
Tough
you're
luck.
kind of on the homeowner at that point. So,
You know, they'd have.
I mean, they're gonna come and they're gonna do the best they can. It may be delayed if they
Well,
can't
couldn't
get
down there.
access.
They couldn't back down.
Right. They work magic, so I'm not gonna say they're not gonna come. It's just, it might take them a little longer to figure out how to get down there around.
So, but I think the ordinance does allow for reasonable request. Like I say, it's not like, I've been on that lake for my entire life, and it's amazing some of the houses they're putting up there. I'm going, oh my gosh. There's some really large houses, and this is just going to be a fairly 3-bedroom, 2-story house with a beautiful porch on it so we can enjoy the sunsets.
Does anyone else have a question?
Are both those sheds going to be removed?
The one shed is, can I use that sheds as a part of my setback? Yeah, the sheds, the small one is definitely going away.
Yeah.
The large one is gotta be moved because it's on
On
the
both
lot.
lots, yeah.
That will not be on lot 16. That's gonna be up to my brother what he wants to do with it. Probably gonna go behind the cabinets on 14. That's the plan. But yeah, the sheds, they were put up in the 60s and 70s, so.
Yeah, well, they're both on 16, or most of that.
Yeah,
shed.
most of it's on 16. So if I could use those sheds as my front footprint, that would be awesome, but I don't think that's what you want to do.
You can't do that.
Wishful thinking,
Yeah.
so.
Mark, did you have any
I do
questions?
not.
Kristen?
I do not.
Okay, then let's move on to public comment. Does anybody here want to speak?
Do you need to give any rules about public comment before we get into it?
If there was a big crowd, I'd limit
Okay,
it to
go ahead.
5 minutes, but I think we're probably
It's fine, go ahead.
okay. I'll let you know if you're going on too long and you need to wrap up. And could you state your name, please? Into the mic. Into the-
ABSALOM. And I own the adjacent property in the house over here to the study.
Okay,
The only point I want to make is we've tried to look for a way, I own all the other half of this, if there's some way to square it up, make it easier for him, I'd be glad to do it. But apparently because of the original township ordinances or how they laid this thing out in 1928, that's hard to do because if we could square it, that'd make it easy for him. But I have no objection at all, so I could create a problem for us if he built that house. And if there were a way to square it up and make it easier, I'd be glad to do it. So,
And is that correct, Sarah, that it
What a
couldn't be
question I
squared up?
had.
if we could, we would.
I can answer what they told me.
Do you want to go through questions and answer during public comment?
Oh, yeah, I guess. I'm sorry?
Do you want to go through questions and answers during public comment or?
No, I'm sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead, continue.
That's all I have to say. If there were a way to square it up, we would, and then that'd solve all his problems, but apparently there's some issue with the original 1928 zoning or something that makes it hard for us to do that. I don't know why. It wouldn't create any problem for my piece of property if we squared it up. But we've tried for 2-3 years to talk about getting that done, and everybody seems to think for some reason you can't do that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, Mr. Lloyd, did you have an answer to what they told you about squaring up the property?
The problem is, I've been, as I was told, is, the problem is, one is a platted subdivision, bills as meets and bounds. If you change the platted subdivision, then you have to go through a court proceeding to vacate it, or, that parcel. Then it becomes two different, you could have two different tax parcels with one houses. And so the biggest problem is legality of, because it's a subdivision and his is not. His is just a meets and bounds. His goes to the center of the road where my property goes to the edge of the boundary of the plat.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody on the board have any additional questions?
Not at this time.
All right, then I'd like to close the public hearing and move into our findings of facts. So I'll start with a couple of the general findings of fact that were provided by Sarah. Number one, the property is located in the R1 zoning district and is currently vacant except for a shed. And the lot is non-conforming due to its size, 13,000 square feet versus the required 20,000 square feet, and the minimum width of, not meeting the minimum width of 100 square feet. Did anybody else have some general findings of facts they'd like to add?
Yes, the property was divided, if that's the right word, in 1928.
Platted would be appropriate word.
All right. Also, pre-existing homes seem to be within the 50-foot area.
You mean surrounding pre-existing?
Yes.
Okay.
Like immediately next door, I could see that one.
Any other thoughts?
I want clarification on that last one, please.
Okay.
You're saying that there are surrounding homes and lots that are beyond the 50 feet?
It looked like the one right next door that I could see to the north was up there.
Closer to the water than 50 feet.
Yeah, these are homes that were built before the zoning ordinance and are within the, what?
Okay, I misinterpreted what you had said. I thought you had indicated the homes that are adjoining are all beyond the 50 feet.
Oh,
There's no
okay.
issue, but it's
The
the
other way.
opposite you're saying. Okay. that's
Sorry.
fine.
Dave?
No, not right now, I guess.
Okay. Then let's move to the criteria to substantiate a practical difficulty. Criteria A, do special conditions or circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved and which, one, are not applicable to most other land structures or buildings in the same zoning district. Two, show exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or the shape of a specific piece of property on the effective date of the ordinance. Three, show exceptional topographic conditions. Four are extraordinary conditions of land, building, or structure. Five, negatively affect development of property immediately adjacent to the property in question. And six, the literal enforcement of the requirements of this ordinance would involve practical difficulties. So what I'd like to do is continue with our findings of fact and any of those that would be relevant to this criteria A. Kristen, would you?
Well, definitely two. It shows exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or the shape of a specific piece of property on the effective date of the ordinance. And
Okay, so you're saying that this lot shows exceptional narrowness, shallowness?
Yep.
That shape? I would maybe disagree with that. I think that that's not specific to this piece of property. I think all of these lots in this area are exceptionally narrow and shallow. And so I don't think that's specific to this piece of property. They're all non-conforming.
and that's,
That's, any other discussion?
They were built on a long time ago, and I guess that's what I'd be looking at now, just looking at this piece of property now by itself. It just seems to be really non-conforming.
It is non-conforming, but I don't think that's unique to the area.
Okay.
Anyone else? I guess we've got one of each side. I need
know
to
we have
get
one
a
of each
majority
side.
here.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that? Otherwise, I guess I'll just do a straw vote and
Yeah.
decide how to add this as a finding of fact.
Yeah.
When you say that this is unique, yes, definitely it's unique, but the others are not unique. They're all rectangulars, all rectangle. They don't meet today's codes.
Yeah, but if you look at, this actually has a larger building envelope than the other properties. So because the shape is unique, it's not unique in its function or ability to build on. That's how I'm viewing it, but let's continue arguing that point.
I'm not going to argue. I don't.
Mark, did you have?
No, I think that this is a unique case in that the shape of the property itself as a whole, having the footage on the road being very, very narrow. But you get into the building area of the lot, it's not. I tend to agree with what you're saying. It's a question of trying to put a place a building in that lot that may not be necessarily appropriate to the desires that they have, how they want it to end up. It's just the very uniqueness of this lot. You could put a smaller place in there or different dimensions of that place. It would fit. So,
It would fit, you said?
yes.
Well, I guess it would be if it was smaller.
I'm sorry.
How much smaller can I go?
Well, technically, 960
60 square
Yeah,
feet.
square feet or
it's
something.
20 by 20 and the 960 is floor area, so it
So
doesn't,
that
but
would
that
be-
doesn't have to be on one floor, that
Or it
can be
could
on two or three.
floors, right.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, it's a matter of your needs and whether this lot fits your needs for the size of house you want.
And technically, we have a 3-story, 24 by 24, and that would satisfy the ordinance, but is that practical? How do you get it? As I go into older age, I wanted that first floor bedroom.
Are we able to ask questions from the floor, or is that?
Not at this point. The public hearing is closed. We probably should continue in that manner.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's just do actually, let's do a roll call on that finding of fact. You said that, Kristen said that it does show exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or the specific shape of a specific piece of property on the effective date of the ordinance. So, Chad, do you agree with that?
I guess I do in a sense, but when I look at the big picture of that driveway, and I do picture it in our winter times here, which we usually run a long piece of the year. And then, are we going to tear up some asphalt? Is that going to be more of an environmental factor there too? So if I'm going to look at this and I'm going to look at lot 14 and 15, I could see how you have that there, but I do see trouble getting to it with that easement. I don't know if that clears it up or if it doesn't.
I'm just, so we have a did you want to say something else?
No, I'll wait.
Okay, so we have a proposed findings of fact that states that this lot shows exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or the shape of a specific piece of property on the effective date of the ordinance. So the question is, do you think that it does show exceptional narrowness and shallowness?
The house, the building.
The
property.
lot, the lot.
Well, yeah, okay.
So if you're just looking at that statement, can you answer yes or no just to that statement? It's like a true-false question. It's either all true, or if any part of it's false, then it's false.
Okay, Kristen?
Well, am I understanding this correctly here too? That even though this goes this way, the 50 feet back is here across the whole lot?
Right.
I still think that I think that the lot shows that it's an odd shape, that it shows exceptional narrowness or shallowness.
Okay, so that's a yes.
Yes.
Dave? Yes.
I'm going
Chad?
to say yes too.
No.
And I say no. So that does, by a vote of 3-1, become finding of fact. Okay,
Can can I talk about this a little bit more?
sure.
I'm, for you that don't agree with that, it is an odd lot. I'm wondering if I'm missing something here. It's an exceptional lot with, it is very narrow, or it's everything we just said it was. But am I missing something here? Well, I'm not questioning your vote. I'm just trying to see whether maybe I missed something.
No,
Because I think.
I think you're viewing it one way, which is everybody, you know, sees things a little differently. I see, I don't see it as being unique because the depth of the shallowness of the lot, the depth of it is the same as the properties adjacent to it. And it is narrow at one end, but it's not at another. And that's why I was looking at the building envelope, the area that's buildable on it in terms of size, rather than the size of the total lot, because a lot of the lot you can't use. What's relevant is really whether it's a buildable lot or not, in my mind.
Okay,
But
that's fine,
but
yeah.
That's,
Okay, that's
like I
good.
said, that's in my mind.
I don't want to beat it to death. I just,
I agree.
Okay. Mark, do you have any findings of fact relevant to this?
Nothing other than what you have indicated.
Okay. Chad?
No.
Dave?
I'm sorry. I guess I didn't quite leave the other question yet in my mind.
Okay.
One more time, what am I saying yes or no to?
Does the lot show exceptional narrowness, shallowness?
We just said, voted on that, or just went through that.
Yeah. And you answered that.
And I guess I answered
thought-
that.
So I thought we were done with that one.
I thought so too, but I thought you were asking me again now.
Oh, no, I'm asking you if you have any other findings of fact relevant to criteria A.
No. I'm sorry.
Kristen?
I don't.
I do not.
Okay. I have one, I think relevant to point 1 and 3 there. I think the steep incline from the property to the road is common to other properties in the area. I went down and a lot of them have driveways like that, so I don't think that's, so I'm saying the topographical features are not unique. They are applicable to most other land structures or buildings of most other lands in the same zoning area, district.
That they're not unique.
That they're not unique, that it doesn't show.
Something that
unique
other
excep-
lots.
Yeah,
All right.
unique exceptional topographical conditions. So my statement is the steep incline from the property to road is common to other properties in the area.
I agree
That
with
would
that.
be.
I agree.
Agree?
Agreed.
And my other findings of fact on this, on A, were that, which I described earlier in my argument before, but that the property has a rectangular building area within the setback of 30 to 50 feet. You're saying, you said 26 to 50 feet? So we'll modify,
That doesn't, if you include the room for the septic tank, it does not even have that. That's-
okay. This it. we're not discussing what you're putting, we're talking about the building area. There is a 26 by 50 foot rectangular building area on this property. And this is a larger building envelope than many other properties in the area. That would be my finding of fact. Chad?
I would agree.
Yes. Yes.
I agree.
Agree.
Okay. Okay, on to criteria B. Would literal interpretation of the provisions of this zoning ordinance deprive the applicant of property rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district? And I once again believe that the existing building envelope is sufficient to build in compliance with the zoning ordinance. Any discussion on that one?
I agree.
Agree? Kristen?
I agree.
Agree.
Chad?
Can I just throw a question out there? Looking at this and having a steep driveway myself, is there any possible way that there could be an easement through Bill's property, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name, on the other side, on the south side, so that the house could be built there? And if you could get a legal easement, which we have currently going through Peterson's farm field, so that he could come on the south side of the house. I don't know if this is the time to bring that up, but I'm just seeing, yeah, we have a footprint, but we do have a problem there.
You have another small problem there? There's some,
Can you respond to that after we?
yes, okay. I'll answer your question.
So that's just thrown out there right now.
There's another big issue.
Okay.
Well,
But
that
that's
is
not for us
probably
to
not
decide.
something that we
It's out there.
need to solve.
Yeah.
Okay,
not
I
for
just,
us
it's just
to-
something that I had
it's
to
not
get
for
out
us
here
to
because I'm just
decide
looking at
to
the
solve.
whole situation.
Right. Okay, so Chad, did you agree with the finding of fact that the existing building envelope is sufficient to build in compliance with the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
We all, okay. Does anybody else have a finding of fact that relevant to B? C, are the special conditions or circumstances not the result from the actions of the applicant, landowner, or predecessor in title?
Agree.
I don't. Okay, so. And D,
I'm sorry, what was the response to that?
there were none, nobody had, in other words, there were no finding of facts. They don't have any,
So you find that I guess what's the answer to that question? We have to have an answer to it.
well, we were going to go back through and after we've gotten through all the finding of facts and then actually vote on each one of these.
Right, but you haven't made a finding.
Okay, so I think there are the finding of facts. Okay, the landowner did not do anything.
Okay.
It's
that
a result
results-
of the applicant, yeah.
Okay.
So the landowner did not do anything to cause the special
Right.
circumstances.
Right, this is not a result of landowner's action. The property was platted prior to zoning.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Will you say that one more time for me?
Sure, this is not a result of landowner's actions. The property was platted prior to zoning.
Okay, D. Would the authorizing of the variance be consistent with the spirit and purpose of this zoning ordinance and not be of substantial detriment to the neighboring property? So we lost someone.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to wait a minute so you don't have to repeat yourself.
Yeah. Okay, we are on criteria D. Would the authorizing of the variance be consistent with the spirit and purpose of this zoning ordinance and not be of substantial detriment to the neighboring property? All right, I had some thoughts on this or questions, maybe, what is the reason for a 50-foot setback from the water's edge? And does that go to the spirit and purpose of the zoning ordinance? And I believe that the 50-foot setback was established once we knew better than building 35 feet from the water's edge, and that it's to protect sensitive environmental resources, including our waterways and shorelines, and protect the water quality and environment, nearshore environment against human impacts, according to our master plan. So although I don't think it would be substantially detrimental to neighboring properties, I do believe that it is not consistent with the spirit and purpose of our zoning ordinance. Discussion?
I would agree with that. We're trying hard with the septic situation around the lake and all these cottages that were built 100 years ago. We would never let that happen today. So if you go with the spirit of things, then no, this is not right. It's just too close. And if we make exceptions, we kind of shoot down what we're trying to impose. Or not impose, it's a rule, a regulation, or whatever.
An ordinance.
An ordinance.
Correction.
And the 35 feet bothers me. You said it very well.
Okay, so then I think the finding of fact is the 50-foot setback from the water's edge is to protect our sensitive environmental resources and including waterways and shorelines, and protect our water quality and nearshore environment from various human impacts.
Sounds good.
Is
Well
that,
stated.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things you mentioned last time is that although this application may not be detrimental to the neighbors, it's not consistent with the spirit and purpose of the ordinance.
correct? Okay, everybody agrees
Yes.
I
that
agree.
that's fine.
Agreed.
Does anybody else have additional findings of facts?
I do not.
Okay.
So on my count, I have 3 findings that are not met and 1 finding that is met.
You
Or
mean criteria?
I was just going to say criteria.
Yeah, let's go
Should we go through
Let's
them?
go through and do
Forum.
a vote on that. Okay, criteria A. Mark? Is criteria A met?
No.
Kristen?
I'm really stuck on, I'm gonna say criteria A. Because it only has to have one of those 6, correct?
Well, I guess, Laura, I don't understand, we went through and did kind of the findings, so.
Right. And so the findings that were, we just did it in a certain order, so whether they were relevant, which criteria they were relevant to.
Okay,
But we didn't really take an overall vote on whether the criteria was met or not.
okay. So in my mind, for example, for this item, the findings of fact that were made, one was that there is exceptional narrowness, shallowness, and shape of a specific piece of property on the effective date of the ordinance, which we had a majority say, yes, that's a finding.
Correct.
And then we had a finding that the steep incline is similar to other properties in the area and that topography is not unique to the area, which that was a unanimous, so that finding was added.
Right.
And so then we also had a finding that the property has rectangular building area of 26 to 50 feet and a larger building envelope than others in the area. That was unanimously met. So when you're voting on this criteria, you have to do it based on the findings that the board all found.
Correct.
So all of these should be a unanimous decision on if the criteria is met or not, based on the findings that the board already established. So the criteria, the findings that you made said that this standard has not been met. You have one of the findings is yes, but the other 2 are
No.
against the criteria.
So are you saying we shouldn't really
I don't-
discuss it?
I don't know. I mean, I think that
Any
you
further?
you went through the criteria already and you
Okay.
made findings. So at this point, you could just make a motion your motion should be to deny the variance. And you would want to list the case number and the parcel number,
Okay.
based on the criteria not being met in this section of the ordinance. And then do your vote. And you can do a voice
Okay.
vote or a roll call for that.
Okay, so but it was my understanding that we need to be specific on which criteria are met or not met. So
Right.
based on this, B is not met. C is met. And D is not met. So I'll make a motion to deny ZBA 2022-01, the Lloyd variance request based on findings of fact and indicating that criteria A, C, and D are not met.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Dave? The motion is to deny the ZBA
Yes,
2.
yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes.
I say yes. Kristen?
Yes.
Okay, appeal ZBA 2022, I'm sorry, not appeal, variance request ZBA 2022-01 is denied by a vote of 5-0. Mr. Lloyd, thank you for your time.
I have one question. I can answer your question on the neighbors too. So is it your feeling that even if I request a smaller amount, to get it out of the parking lot, a smaller house, that would be denied also?
I mean, the ZBA evaluates the application in front of them. They can't advise you on what to do to move forward or how to correct your application so that it would be
As
met.
far as affecting the lake, the property is on a bluff, so it doesn't really affect the shoreline or anything like that.
You know what? I'm not an environmental expert. I know that that's one of the reasons that we have this 50-foot setback. Okay,
May I comment? May I say
Yes.
something? I just want to say too, my husband and I have come before this board before, and we weren't always able to build what we wanted to build.
I'm thinking of what kind of bills. I'm still turning around in that parking lot, as he pointed out, is even going with the minimum.
I understand that. And I appreciate your legacy, and I hope that you find something else that will work.
Nope, we're still in the middle of our agenda, actually. We're on miscellaneous business.
okay, Sarah.
Sure, so there's a zoning administrator's report on your desk that has land use permits that have been issued so far this year, as well as land divisions and violations, complaints that we have out there and are working through currently. So the only real update that I have for you is that Marcia has resigned from the ZBA, so she's no longer with us, and the board will be working on an alternate. And then Bob Hawkins has resigned from the Planning Commission, so he was the Planning Commission rep to the ZBA. So there will be a new appointment for that position sometime in the future. So just to keep the ZBA updated on those components.
Thank you. And so I think you kind of provided the planning commission report
Yes.
as well, then, didn't you?
Yeah, as far as the PC representative of the ZBA report, the planning commission is going to be looking at the draft zoning ordinance that's been in the works. So I'm sorry, guys, we still have a meeting going on. You're welcome to go in the hallway and discuss. So there's been a draft zoning ordinance that a subcommittee's been working on, that the planning commission is going to get to take a look at here soon. That's going to help clarify some of the language in the ordinance, clear up any inconsistencies. The big item will be, signs, bring those more into compliance with the Supreme Court decision. So once we get through that process, you'll be getting a new zoning ordinance, but feel free to take a look at it once we get it out sometime here in September. The planning commission would love to hear your feedback as ZBA members. If you see something or have concerns, in reviewing past cases, there isn't anything that really sticks out to me from the ZBA standpoint that needed to be corrected. But if there's something that you can think of or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me or come to one of the planning commission meetings when they're discussing it. And
So what will be the process? They will publish the
yes,
the draft document,
Mhm.
and then they will start, and then will they
Chip
take
away at it,
sections of it
yeah.
and work on it, and those will be in open meetings?
Yeah, so I'm going to be giving the planning commission a complete copy of the draft in September. And then at their September meeting, my thought at their September meeting is they'll kind of lay out the process moving forward, which will be similar to that. There'll be some sections they'll work on each meeting that will be on the regular agenda. It's not a public hearing on that, but the public can participate during
So
public
I was going
comment.
to ask, should the public watch if they have input, come to the meeting where it's that particular section is being discussed? Will the public
Yeah.
be allowed to add their input at that point, or their opinions?
Yeah, so exactly, during public comment, they can give it verbally or written notes, especially if if we get them in a week before the meeting, we can put them in the packet, so the planning commission actually gets a chance to review those, and then that can go into each of those sections. At the end, there will be a public hearing in that process, but that's on the ordinance as a whole. So I would encourage anybody that has comments on specific articles or sections to pay attention to when we're reviewing those so that they can provide that input. I think it'll have more of an impact because we're having more detailed discussions at that time.
Right, timely impact rather than
Yeah.
waiting till they
Right.
think they have it all done, and then
Right.
then
Yeah.
the public comes out of the woodwork and says, I
Right.
disagree with this and disagree with that. Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
think
good
it's
to know.
it's important to, and hopefully, I'm going to encourage the planning commission at the September meeting to kind of lay out that schedule or let me lay out a schedule for that. So then we can get that posted and say, we're going to work on these articles. So people, it's not 1 week and you're trying to figure it out. You'll have time to be able to review the articles. And I imagine that'll get adjusted as we get applications and things like that for when they actually happen. But in a perfect world, we'll set it up to our regular meeting schedule. And
Okay.
yeah.
No, I think
All right.
that's good. And then it involves the community, which is
Yeah.
important.
We hope so.
Yes.
Okay. I guess at this point, then you're done, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, if there's any public comment on any subject, this would be the time to speak up.
Well, I don't think there's any back there anyways.
I don't think there is either. Bob Cook, 12110 Dragonfly Lane, and supervisor, and I just thought I'd give you an update. We had a meeting last night for the board. And to lay things out, we have Marcia's resignation, and we had Bob's. Now, Bob's coming from the planning commission. They will have to have a new person on. We got that last night, Kevin Woodward. So it will be up to Andy if he wants to try to get a person to volunteer for the ZBA or wait until October. For your board, Mark's term is up. He will let me know one way or the other. And we'll do that whenever the appropriate time is for him. And at this juncture, then Kristen being number one alternate will sit on the board until the planning commission decides. That leaves open the alternate number two. We had a person come for that position last night. The board tied 2-2. So that person, that particular vote being tied, I will probably bring it back in September when we have a full board to make a final decision on that. And then we'll whatever happens with the planning commission, then if they come up with somebody, Kristen would come back as alternate number one. If alternate number two gets decided on in September, you will have again 7 members until October. And then we have 2 people coming up on the 1-year term, and that is Kristen and Mark. And so if they decide to
be retained, they will get automatic 3-year terms. We have to do that in order that we keep the cycle going and not have what happened in 2020 when all 5 board members came up. So there's a tiered approach that we're going to have to take. We'll work through it over the next 2 months. So right now, you guys are all on here, and as cases come up, you'll be busy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, Sarah, do we have anything?
We have no cases for the next ZBA meeting. I did want to ask you if you want to meet to approve minutes, or if you would be comfortable just signing a decision order that would, have the criteria with the decision on it, and just get that decision signed to finalize this, or if you want to do it with minutes.
I think that decision
Okay.
is fine, and then we'll approve the
Yeah, well,
minutes at the next.
some other time.
The
Yep. So,
next time we have business to
Yep.
conduct.
perfect. I'll get a decision order together and let you know when you can stop in and sign that.
Okay, great. And do you just need my signature on that?
Yes. So, and I do believe the deadline's passed for the next meeting, so for applications. So you can take the September meeting off your agenda.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question on this?
Sure.
What about the heliport?
It's on that list.
Yeah, so what was the outcome of it?
Right,
It's still there, so did you come to a conclusion on it? Or-
it says right on there,
Oh, wait a
we're,
minute. Guess I haven't seen one. Did it? I did. Did I read it right? It's on the last page, right?
we're still working with the attorneys on that item.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't have a final thing. It said we were working with the attorneys and property owners on the violation, but that's currently where we're at still.
Well, he still has his airplane, he comes in every day. What a life.
Okay. I believe all agenda items have been completed. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I will make that motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned at
It's 8:28.
8:28.
Very good.
What is this?